Well, hello, everyone, and welcome here to FNL Gridiron. We are presented by Beals Insurance. Nick Anastas with Steve Beals. Final show of the season ahead of the final game of the season. That's the Division One state championship, which will come your way on Saturday between Bedford and Pinkerton. Over the next hour, we preview that matchup with both head coaches involved in the game. Brian O'Reilly, long time head coach at Pinkerton, set to rejoin the program tonight. Astros getting right back where they were most of the year as of late, coming off a 28-0 shutout victory over Salem in the semis. On the other sideline will be, of course, Zach Matthews, and he's back on the show for the second straight week. The Bedford head coach saw his club take care of business and stay undefeated. 35-21 winners over Nashua South this past weekend in the semifinals. So Coach O'Reilly, Coach Matthews on deck, and in about 5, maybe 10 minutes or so, we'll bring in Roger Brown, the founder of the New Hampshire Football Report. Roger is really the man to go to when it comes to inside info. He'll help us break down that game, plus the other games that are now in the history bin. Of course, that's the Division 2, 3, and 4 championships. We congratulate the latest winner. That was Trinity back on Saturday. They beat Sauhegan, handed the Sabres their first and only loss of the season. Coach Cathcart's Pioneers were 31-21 winners back on Saturday afternoon. So congratulations there. All right, let's bring in my partner, Steve Beals, on the road tonight, but playing it safe, pulled over. He's got the car in park, and he's going to speak with us the next hour down in Massachusetts. Steve, how are you?
Good, Nick. I was going to, like I was telling you off air, I was trying to snag a little McDonald's here. My mother has had Alzheimer's dementia for many years, and Monday's Mom Day, so I was down visiting her and had a wonderful visit. Headed back, kind of rumbly in the tumbly, so to speak. I stop at a McDonald's, and it's way ahead of my capabilities, Nick. You don't even go to a drive-up window anymore. You apparently have an app or something, and then you drive up and they give you a number of parking spaces, and there's a young lady bringing stuff out. So that's way above my pay grade. So I'm going to, like I told you, I can handle a few less meals. So I'm going to just start the show tonight and go on. It's good to see you. What a weekend we had, huh?
Yeah, we really did. We really got spoiled.
Yeah.
First with the Friday night semifinal battle between Bedford and South, and then that championship game in Division 2 was certainly one to remember, with Trinity taking care of business on the heels of a strong second half. By the way, the broadcast for that Division 2 game, that premieres tonight on our YouTube channel. So if you didn't have a chance to check that out, check it out tonight. We're going to broadcast that after the show at about 7:30. You can watch it anytime, of course, for free on our YouTube channel, FNLNH Media. Steve, before we welcome in Roger and Coach O'Reilly and Coach Matthews, I did want to bring up the Trades Scholarship Program that is once again ongoing between Jewett Construction and the NHIAA. I know that has piqued your interest all season long. We were hoping to speak with Craig Jewett, the owner of Jewett Construction, tonight, but he was tied up and had some urgent matters come up before the show. So we hope to connect with Craig once again down the road, but did want to mention that outstanding scholarship program that they are offering, $3,000 to a high school student. You can sign up via written essay or video essay on JewettConstruction.com or NHIAA.org. But Steve, I know again that you and I both share that same interest, that skills, the trades, really the future for this country.
Passionate about this, Nick. I'll never forget. Quick little story, if we got a minute. Back in economics 2, macroeconomics 1, I was had a professor, and I'll never forget. I'm sitting back in my chair with a class of about 30, 40 people, and she got up talking about, this would have been in 1981, 82. This would have been, and she got up and she went on for about 20 minutes about how we don't need to be making cars anymore. We don't need to be building things anymore. We need to offshore our manufacturing base. And I could not believe what I was hearing. Needless to say, I left that. I finished up that class, and within a semester, I said, I had enough of this. This is just nonsense. And here we are 30 years later. We can't even produce our own medications. We can't produce all kinds of things in this country because we just offshored them. And every one of those facilities needs electricians and carpenters and HVAC mechanics and all sorts of plumbers and electronic technicians and things of that nature. All those things that back in that, when I went to school, we had metal shop, we had wood shop, you had photography, you had industrial, all kinds of industrial arts. I took big into drafting and all of that, and really got a feel for what manufacturing, and they really promoted it. And over the last 30 years, especially in the suburban school districts, Nick, they've just gutted history, civics, and industrial arts and the trades. And I happened to go by Salem High School at the football game that we did about 3 weeks ago there, and they have a massive industrial arts facility in that school, what it certainly looked like. And I just got a big smile on my face. I drove by that pristine, beautiful facility there, and it's not completely gone yet. But it was just very interesting now that we're going to be onshoring. I hope we're going to be onshoring and be able to make things and build things again and build quality lives again for people. I'm very excited about it. And it's the leadership of people like Craig and Jewett Construction that are coming into this situation. And they're so pumped up about it and have such a need and such a belief of this. They recognize that young men and women many young men and women need to build things. That's what makes them happy, fulfilled. And it's a critical part of our society for our survival economically and secure and national security wise. And to hear people like Craig and his company taking the lead on that and offering scholarships to incentivize kids to go in and come out with a real authentic skill that they can put into practice, get into an apprenticeship program within the company after they get their base education, and make incredible livings for their families, men and women. And I'm all excited about what Craig's doing, and I was really looking forward to it tonight to hear him. Hopefully I know we have something come up because he's a busy guy, runs a fabulous company, and we're so proud to have him as a partner. I'm equally as proud to be and excited about listening what Craig and so many other companies across our country are doing right now to help facilitate the sort of interest and the excitement. And hopefully the public school system will recatch on in these critical areas of history, civics, and begin to kind of retool our whole workforce to be able to fill that very big void. And you could just go on and on about this, Nick, but if you can't tell, this is something I've watched happen over the past 35, 40 years, and it's been distressing. And we're finally hitting that excitement button again of getting people employed in things that can bring them, and ultimately later on in life, they can go into the management of that sort of situation with getting a management education at a school. And because they've learned it from the bottom up, some exciting things happening. I hope it sticks, and excited about the future of this young generation that has really been left behind. And our hope is with people like Craig and leaders like that, we can lead them out of it.
Absolutely. Again, second year that they've partnered with the NHIAA to present that trades scholarship. So if you are interested, high school student, log on to JewettConstruction.com or the NHIAA.org, JewettConstruction.com or NHIAA.org for more information on that scholarship. We talk football on the other side of the break. Roger Brown is gearing up to join us. The founder of the New Hampshire Football Report joins us next. You are watching FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Maybe it's leaning too close to your home. Maybe it's not healthy. Or maybe you just don't like it there. No matter what the reason is, if you need tree work or pruning, call Accurate Tree Service. They have the right equipment and expertise to properly diagnose, treat, or remove trees, no matter how difficult the terrain. Perhaps simple, careful pruning by our certified arborist is all you need to manage your trees and shrubs. When it comes to your tree care, contact the full-service tree care experts today. Accurate Tree Service, because you only get one chance to take a tree down right.
Are you a quarterback who is ready to take your game to the next level? Well, then it's time to join TKQB Academy. Founded by former UNH standout Trevor Knight, TKQB Academy has worked with student athletes from around New England, helping young quarterbacks to reach their full potential. TKQB Academy offers one-on-one and group sessions that will help you instantly improve your accuracy, timing, mechanics, and footwork. So be the best QB you can be at TKQB Academy. Call 603-732-7194 or reach out on Instagram at TKQBA. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include discount tickets, cards, and calendar raffles to hundreds of local merchants throughout the New England area. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
All right, we're back here on FNL Gridiron, final show of the season. Happy Thanksgiving to our viewers. And we're looking to break down that Division I state championship game in its entirety coming up here over the next 40 minutes or so. We've got Coach O'Reilly, we've got Coach Matthews as Bedford and Pinkerton square off Saturday afternoon in the championship game. And our first guest is going to help us preview that game right now. That's Roger Brown, the founder of the New Hampshire Football Report, joining us from his home in Exeter. Roger, how are you, my friend? Thanks for coming on.
I'm doing well, gentlemen. Thank you for having me.
Always
appreciate it, as usual. Roger, we're going to look ahead to Bedford and Pinkerton in just a moment. But I wanted your overall take on Trinity and what they were able to do in the Division II championship game. They surprised a lot of people. Zauhegan was probably the unofficial favorite as the 1 seed and an undefeated team, the only undefeated team remaining in the division. But Trinity met them on a physical level. They executed well and ultimately were able to put that game away in the fourth quarter. Your thoughts on what we saw last Saturday with the Pioneers coming out on top 31-21 over Zauhegan in the Division II championship?
Well, to be honest, Nick, I'm probably not the right person to ask on that one. I was in Durham Saturday, UNH Maine. But to the larger point, very impressed with what Trinity did this year. The one time, or the thing that stands out was their first game at Plymouth, just how much more physical Plymouth was in that game. And then, that seemed to light a fire under the Pioneers. Didn't lose after that. Handled Plymouth the second meeting. And then, I have seen the people I spoke with going into that game, the Division II coaches thought that Zauhegan was the favorite. So, kudos to Trinity. A lot of big play threats on that Zauhegan team, but from what I read, there were very few X-plays by the Sabres in that game. And Trinity, I wouldn't say had control, but I think they took the lead and never trailed, if I'm not mistaken. So no fluke at all. And congrats to Coach Cathcart and his crew, for a victory.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the Division I championship game. Bedford hoping to cap off an undefeated season and capture their third Division I championship in the last 4 years. Pinkerton, of course, perennially tough. They are the defending champion with head coach Brian O'Reilly on the sidelines. What is the biggest dynamic here? They didn't play in the regular season. Not that that matters or not. Not sure, but what do you think here coming in? It should be the main storyline that we focus on between Bedford and Pinkerton.
Oh, good question, Nick. Just in terms of the outcome of the game, I think I haven't done the deep dive into both teams, but I'm familiar with them both, obviously, and I just think Pinkerton's ability to run the ball might be the deciding factor. Different teams, of course, but last year in both games, I thought Pinkerton really was able to get its ground game going, even in the loss against Bedford. And I just think that's something you have to do against this Bedford team, limit their possessions. You've got to create momentum with your own offense. And we saw South move the ball against Bedford a little bit last week, but it was all through the air or Cody Jackson scrambling. They didn't really get Sam Levine going in the run game. And, I think if Pinkerton can get that run game going and then, the play action pass, obviously, that would be the key for them, and Bedford stopping that would be the key on the other side. That and Pinkerton's ability to, not allow any huge plays or big offensive plays from Helton or Matthews or in the passing game. So that's kind of the Cliff Notes version of how I see it going into the game.
Yeah. And when you look at Pinkerton as well, they've dealt with a lot of injuries. I know all teams have, but particularly they were minus some key starters late in the regular season. They had the week off with the bye week as the number 3 seed, and ultimately were able to get healthy and get back to where they're accustomed to being. How big of a factor is that in your mind, that Pinkerton's healthy once again?
I don't know that they are, Nick. You can ask Coach O'Reilly about this. I don't think I know Jordan Ball. Again, I don't want to speak too much on this. Maybe ask Coach O'Reilly, but I don't think he's in the best of situations. So he could speak to their health. Certainly, that was a factor when they were their 3-game losing streak. They weren't at full strength, and they were missing some key pieces. And people might say, "Well, it's Pinkerton; it's a big school." But when you're not at your best and you're playing the best competition, it's never easy. So I certainly think, if Pinkerton came into this game with too many injuries, they'd be in rough shape trying to beat Bedford. If they're close to 100%, it's the two teams that I think a lot of people expected to be here at the beginning of the year. If you think back, the first half of the season, I think most people were picking it was Bedford, Pinkerton 1 and then Bedford 2, and it kind of flip-flopped at some point during the season, even before Pinkerton lost, I think. But, like I said, at the beginning of the season, if you had to choose, I think most people would have picked these two teams to get here. So, it's a game a lot of people were expecting and looking forward to when the season began.
Yeah, good point. Steve?
Roger, thanks for coming on again. It's getting cold right now out there and getting damp, and kind of next week looks like it's going to be pretty cold. And both of these teams have a running game, and I think that lends itself to, on as far as Division I is concerned, they have a solid running game. And but one of the things two things. First, I was going to say, it seems to me when Mishu and Spellman are healthy and going at the same time, that team really Pinkerton goes to a new level. Your thoughts on that? Because every time I see when they're both healthy and in the game, they're awful hard to defend.
Yeah, no doubt, Steve. Especially, it's like Bedford. It's one thing if you had Helton, but now you got Matthews back there with his legs and his arm too, and you don't know what to take away. Point. When you got multiple threats, but Spellman and Mishu were the two kids that really impressed me last year. Again, going back to that regular season game that Bedford won. If you remember, that's when Pinkerton was without Jamie Isaac that game, and then Morrison got hurt. So those two had to step in as, I don't know how much playing time they each had got, at least on offense, going into that game. But you would have thought they were starters, So from that point on, when those two kids have been in there, It's been a tough team to defend, and then they got other guys now, on top of that with Osanya and others. So we can talk about injuries, but that Pinkerton backfield's got plenty of talent in them.
Osanya,
Yeah, not a team that it's going to be tough to defend. I don't care if you're Bedford or who you are. You got your hands full
agreed.
with that wing tee that Coach O'Reilly's been polishing for 30 plus years or whatever it's been.
Yeah, it's been shiny for a long time. Hey, let's talk
It
about
sure
that
has.
Bedford South game. Talk about that Bedford South game just for a moment, even though Bedford was victorious. 2 minutes and 29 seconds. If I could, I might be off a little bit. It was 14-0 Bedford. The remaining 45 and a half minutes thereabouts, that was a tie ball game. It's very easy to forget that's really what happened. And it wasn't like there was time where there was a bunch of starters taken out and all that stuff. That was a hard fought game right down the last wire. So that was 45 and a half serious minutes that South was able to tie the ball game. Your thoughts on that game as it relates to, the how that game flowed and how it went, and how does that position Bedford as it relates to Pinkerton's concern? Because you were talking about Pinkerton, you feel has a real shot at winning this game. Does the fact that it was tied up the rest of the game mean anything? Your thoughts.
Well, yeah, there's a lot to cover. I mean, kudos to Bedford for winning. I don't want to take anything away from them, but very impressed with the South comeback. Everything that could go wrong went wrong for them early. That's the kind of start that they needed, I think, or something similar to that to come away with a victory. And, they were down 7, and I remember Josh Tripp got called for a penalty that I think was on a third down pass play that was, could have went either way, let's say maybe. And, that I think Bedford went on to score on that drive, but they were that close to, having the ball down 7, with a chance to tie after that disastrous beginning. But to your point, Steve, I think it was good for Bedford to be in a fist fight late because they haven't been in that position much. A few times, BG and the Thornton Academy game. So, I think it's, you don't want kids to start, unraveling and pointing fingers when things don't go your way late because you got to battle through some of that stuff. And, so if you can experience it prior to the championship game, I look at it as a benefit. The one other thing I would mention about that South Bedford game is, maybe we saw some cracks in the Bedford special teams in the sense that South had a fake punt that worked, and then they also blocked a Bedford punt late. Now I'm sure Bedford will be doing everything to shore that up this week, but
no doubt.
I just thought that was interesting that maybe they saw something, or I'm sure Pinkerton's looking at that closely as well going into this game.
I think another thing before I go to D2 that section, Roger, the other thing that really kind of hits me a little bit is Pinkerton just beat an extremely good defense in the Wyndham Jaguars by a very large margin. Scored a lot of points on that defense. Nobody scored that many points on Wyndham for a long, long time. And then they go and they essentially hit a 28-0 against a very, very good Salem team. That rings with me as well. I just think that the idea of Bedford outdoing these guys by 40 points just isn't going to happen. But I got to this matchup to me, Roger, is just a fabulous matchup because it's very different running styles, and when you go up and down the ladder, they both have great athletes that can run with each other, and that's a big thing to me. So just give me a brief response to that, and I want to go to Division II.
Yeah, I think you hit on it, Steve. Their offense, Pinkerton's offense handled a very good Wyndham defense, and then Pinkerton's defense handled a very good Salem offense. I mean, it's tough to
Yeah.
forget about shutout Salem, but a couple touchdowns you'd be happy with when you play those guys if you can give up. The pieces seem to be in place, and that 3-game losing streak. Remember Pinkerton went through a little bit of adversity last year too, 2/3 of the way through the season, and rebounded in time and had no trouble, winning the title. So, I think we can forget about that, and this is almost like a different team here at this point in the season.
I agree. Let's go to Division II. 8 teams, Roger, with winning records in Division II, of which 4 teams were clearly at kind of a top tier there, with that being Plymouth, Trinity, Pelham, and Souhegan. And then you had 4 other teams, Kingswood, Hanover, working its way down the line there. What's your assessment of Division II? It seems to me what NHIA tried to do by building and working and kind of smithing this new Division II we have. I don't think I've ever been at a Division II championship game that had that much excitement in it for a while. Number one, it was a good game, but some of it has to do that a Division II championship, not that it didn't mean anything ever, but it really, there's something really powerful about these, small, mid-sized schools accomplishing that feat with all, it isn't just like, oh, they're going to win. That's just not the way anymore.
Yeah, I think those, I personally like it when the division is deep, and by deep I mean more than a couple of 2-3 teams can win it. And I think D2, we probably, that second tier is, like Kingswood is a good example. Manchester West is another good example. Programs that are trending.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they just need to take another step forward, I think, to join that Plymouth, Trinity, Souhegan group. But if they can, you're going to have a terrific division. And, I don't mean to leave anybody out, but, Hanover you mentioned, and
right.
If you can get 6 to 8 teams. I remember there was one year, I think it was the year Hollis Brookline won it. There was an 8-team playoff in Division II that year, and I think Hollis was the 6th seed, and you could throw a blanket over them. Literally 8 was even with 1, and those are the best of times, I think, in high school football when you get to the quarterfinals and all 4 games are pretty much toss-ups. Division I, it's similar there. We got to get some of these programs that are trending in the right direction, maybe take another step forward and challenge some of these upper echelon programs. And that's good for the health of football. That's what I'd like to see, obviously.
It is.
But
hopefully the rosters will continue to grow this year. So, Roger, thanks for coming on always. I hope that you're obviously we're going to see you there. We're going to see you there, right?
Championship game? Yep, you bet.
Yeah.
And we got
all right.
We got Ukeka Player of the Year Thursday. I'll make sure you guys get that. And and coaches, anybody watching, just remember the huddle is on December 3rd in Manchester. So everybody's invited. Great time. You guys as well.
Beautiful.
Roger, as usual, thank you. We'll see you Saturday.
Okay, Nick. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Roger.
Roger Brown, founder of the New Hampshire Football Report. He's also a board member of the Joe Ukeka New Hampshire chapter. That Player of the Year award set to be announced on Thursday. The 3 finalists are Bedford's Brody Helton, Nashua South's Cody Jackson, and Ryan Rodalunas from Souhegan. All right, we're a little bit behind, so we're going to bring in Coach O'Reilly right now.
Let's do it.
How's that sound? The Pinkerton head coach, 45 years on the job, 12 state championships, going for number 13 on Saturday. Coach, how are you? Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Looks like you're working overtime tonight, Coach.
Tough to get home from practice, and yeah, no, I just hung around the facilities until it was time. So that's all right. We don't mind. Nobody minds being this late in the season. There's a good reason for it.
That's right.
Right. That's right. Preparing for a big game. All right, Coach, I asked Roger Brown about the health of your team. I should have saved that for you, so I'm going to go ahead and ask now. What can you tell us? I know you're not going to give away everything, but in terms of how close to 100% is your roster going into Saturday's championship?
As much as it was last week, a little less, but Jordan Ball is unfortunately out for the rest of the year. Beyond that, we're as healthy as we've been in a while. Like a lot of teams, we've lost people. I lost my captain for the year, lost our starting tackle for the year, but that happened weeks ago, and now Jordan's gone. So, hey, we're the largest high school in the state. We can. Nobody feels sorry for us. Nor should they, by the way. Nor should they. So we're okay. All right. Let me say this: there'll be no excuses that we didn't have whoever we needed. We're fine. We'll be okay.
Right. All right, Coach. Your team humming back on Saturday in that semifinal win. What was the key to the shutout against Salem?
That's a good question. I don't know if I can give any one key to it. It's just I thought we played well on both sides of the ball. It's been a while. Finally getting back the whole backfield helped a lot. And they also play on defense, so I think that had a lot to do with it. We just did a really nice job with a 4-man front, shutting down Salem's running attack, which is certainly nothing you expect to do when you get in there. We just wanted to slow them down with the speed they had, but our kids came to play.
Yeah, it sounds like it for sure. Coach, you mentioned that defensive front. James Caruso has been a name, almost a household name at this point, at least for those in football circles. Is he one of those kids that just keeps getting better, and do you expect that we see his peak coming up in his final career game on Saturday?
Well, you'll see his peak, but he's at peak performance for quite a while now. He's a special type of player. He's one of those high school players that every coach wants to have. He doesn't have the extreme height that his brother has at UNH right now. So, but for high school football, 6 feet tall is good enough for you. And he's going to play college football, but he's if he had the height that his brother had, people would be knocking down the doors for him. James plays at one level all the time. He's as intense a player as I've ever had, and such a nice kid also.
Yeah. All right, last question from me, Coach. Your quarterback, Aiden McDonald, tried and tested at this point, 2-year starter. He's about to also play his final game. What can you tell us about where he is now on the eve of the championship versus where he was, let's say, back in August heading into the Jamboree? Any big difference or basically the same?
No, basically the same, because he picked up all of his growth last year, at the beginning of a year ago, to where he was when we got to the championship game. It was exactly where we needed him. And as you would expect a quarterback who had a lot to do with us winning that championship, he came back this year ready to play. And he's been like that all year. He might not have quite the speed around him that he had last year. I mean, we lost some fast kids last year, but he's done just fine. He's done just fine. And the injury factor has hurt us as far as his passing attack, numbers wise. But on any given down, you better pay attention to him because he can throw the ball and he's pretty good scrambling too.
Yeah. Steve?
I agree. Coach, before we go to Pinkerton Academy, I just want to take a quick second. You were at that Trinity Sauhegan game, and I know you're a connoisseur of football at all levels. Your thoughts on that game, and I wanted to bring out there's so many guys that deserve to be talked about, but a guy that I've been watching over the last 4 or 5 weeks and is number 11 on Trinity. He is something special. Yeah, Detone. I went up to him after the game, and he walked over and said, "Thank you for everything you say about me." I said, "Boy, you weren't every bit of that." Your thoughts on him and anything else you saw. To me, one of the best D2 championships I've seen in a while.
There's some athletes out there, I'll tell you that. I don't get to watch them during the year. It was other than reading about their names in the paper, it's the first time I've got to see a number of them. And I'm sure in the long run, you have the right people picked out. But for me, just watching that on Saturday, Ollie Server's a pretty good quarterback. I'll tell you what.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
I'm very impressed with him as an athlete. And
yes,
he would have done just fine for anybody's program in Division One. He wouldn't have taken a step down to anybody.
Amen to that.
But yeah, there's some nice action there.
Yep. I was just talking to Roger earlier in the show. There just seems something to me. I've been watching this Mishu kid for 3 years now, and there's just something about this young man when he gets on the field, and then you package him, along with Spellman, and it just, at that point, everything that foundationally Pinkett and Astros do, those guys kind of like take it to you get them through the line or get them a little bit of space, and then great things happen, especially when they're together. Your thoughts on these two guys as they approach their, actually Spellman you got for another year, but yeah. So your thoughts on these?
And me showed also. I got them both for another year.
Oh my gosh, what a scary thought that is. So cut the last game stuff. Wow. When you think about Timmy, about Morrison, what happened to him between junior and senior year, you can imagine these guys in the weight room for 9 more months and growth and more growth. Your thoughts on these guys when they are a dynamic duo together, and what they've meant to you as players, and how the team seems to look when both of those guys in the lineup.
They might not have quite the speed that Matt and Jamie had last year if you had a foot race, but they're quick as a cat, both of them. Actually, when Jamie and Matt went down last year in the regular season game against Bedford, those are the 2 sophomores that I brought in. And we had already lost Jamie Pryor the week before. And then when Matt went down with the broken finger fielding a punt in the first quarter, it didn't look good. And I threw those 2 sophomores into the fire, and they scored a couple of touchdowns, the 2 of them, hung in there till the end. And that game was really their coming out party. And they became part of last year's championship. Brady in the secondary, Ryson where he needed to fit in. Ryson just like his brother Caden, who was our captain and started for us for many years. They're both the same type of player. Fast, quick, and great hands. Great hands. Both of them are undersized athletes, not enough for high school, but
right.
They make a coach look good. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Defensively, talk about these guys from recovery speed, their ability to be able to manage. Both of them can manage a number 1 receiver. There's no both of them could manage 2 ones and to me, with when you look at the quick release and the velocity in which Bennett Matthew throws, is this going to be a critical part of this game, is the recovery speed and their ability to stay with Durso and their running and their receiving core. Your thoughts on these guys defensively? Because what I saw over there at Manchester game was unreal as well, when you guys beat them. Go ahead.
Well, they better have it because those receivers are really good. And Bennett and Bennett can put the ball out there as well as run it. So you're right about that. They're keys to our secondary. And because they're fast, quick running backs, those are the type of kids you want in the secondary. I'll add to Brady, he hits as well as any kid I've ever had. I'm amazed at how well he hits for his size. It just sometimes I wish you wouldn't, but that's the way he plays. It's good having both of them in the secondary.
When you look across the field there at Bedford, when you get in there Saturday afternoon, when you look at that attack of, I'm going to throw Durso in there as well. That's almost like a 3-headed monster with Durso, obviously Bennett Matthews, and arguably the best runner in the state, Brody Helton. What do you do? What are your thoughts about how to contain these guys? I always like to go by the total yardage, and what do you have to keep them under? Is it time of possession issue for Pinkerton, where you want to maintain them? How do you cut these guys total yardage between, that dynamic duo, and even throw Durso in as well? What do you got to cut them down to?
I can't tell you that because the reality is that they've had their way with everybody.
I'm doing my job, Coach.
For a while. But we don't measure it by how many yards somebody gets or time of possession.
Yep.
Time of possession, it just doesn't. It's just a matter of reading your keys, staying where you're supposed to be, expect that they're going to move the ball, and it's up to us to make sure we do the same thing. And if, like for most people who have played them this year, if you're incapable of slowing them down, but you yourself cannot keep up with them, then that game's going to get away from you pretty quickly, which is essentially what's gone on with them all year long. And it takes both sides of the ball and special teams for two good teams to make it a game. And so I'll leave the solving the mystery to how you stop that attack to our defensive coordinator. I've got my hands full trying to move the ball against their defense, and leave it at that.
Last question before we go into this game, Coach. We really appreciate your time as always. You know, heading towards 50 years of coaching. What does it feel now? I mean, that was a big one last year. I saw you after the game, and what an incredible game that was. What does it feel to be at this point in your life, those wise man years, if you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. What does it feel? Is it just as intense deep down in there inside as it always was? Share with us the feelings of a person that doesn't have those opportunities where you're at right now. Doesn't happen very often. Where do you place your thoughts as you go into this game on the weekend as a historian and a legend? Let's face it, you're a legend in New Hampshire. There's no doubt about it. Legend in New England.
So thank you for that, but a lot of that's being around a long enough time. But I was speaking to someone the other day who was near my age, and we made mention of the fact, like, do you feel the same way I do? Like, do you think in your head that you're still like 18, 19, 20 years of age? And he said, absolutely. And I said, thank you, because I really don't feel any different than I did at any other point so far in my life. I look different. I know when I wake up in the morning, I don't move very well for quite a while. But honestly, in my head, I don't think I'm any different than I've ever been, except that I will tell you, because of maturity, because of growth, I am nowhere near as intense as I used to be. That's a sign of intelligent old age. I don't get wound up over things that I would in the past. The teenagers do. You know, sometimes stuff happens in the field, and you got to say, like, knock it off, settle down, move on, go to the next thing. I think when I think back to when I was a head coach in my 20s and 30s, I was screaming and yelling on the sidelines a lot too. I don't do that anymore. I haven't done that in years. And lacrosse taught me that more than anything, to be honest with you, because you're so up and close and personal on the field and with officials. Mm-hmm. Just relax and deal with the game as it comes along. But last year was no different for me than the stuff from the 80s. And it's just, every year is a new year, and you just take it as it comes. If you win, that's terrific. Honestly, it's the best feeling in the world. But if you lose, you lose. It's a game. I'll be not happy for 24 to 48 hours, and then 72 hours later, it'll be a little less. And then after that, it's more important for me to have my kids and my grandkids run on the field after the game than it is to win a game. You know, we had a pretty serious injury this past week. It's okay now, I'll be honest with you.
Good. Good.
Yeah. But it's things like that. When it happens, you realize we're just playing a stupid game. You know, you want to win the game. You want to do what you can. But then every now and then you look at other things and like, that's way more important than what's going on here in the game. And so if I picked up anything over the years, it's like, it's just relax. It's just a game. Play it for fun. Do the best you can. And if you don't win, you don't win, you know. And
but yeah. Go ahead.
All I can tell you is what we tell our kids all the time. Just give 100% of what you've got in the game when you play. And when the game is over, regardless of what happens, if you can walk off the field and say to yourself, you know what, I did everything I could today. I gave it everything. Then what more do you want? If you walk away after a game and you say to yourself, you know what, man, I should have gone after that kid, or I should have done this, I let it go. Well, that's on you then. But as long as you give 100% of what you're trying to do, that's all you can ask for. And that's what we preach to our kids year after year.
Well said,
I
Coach.
could go on more,
Well
Nick.
said.
I know we got to go. That was very well said. But what this game does to and for young men is what's ultimately really important. And I see a lot of your players on the sidelines that played for you for many, many years ago, right up to recently, and they're over there standing in the game on the big games, especially on these weekends, and that speaks volumes. So, I'll leave it at that. Good luck this weekend. Been another fun Pinkerton team. There's been so many teams in Division I across the board this year that we were able to enjoy. Great to see rosters growing, the game, really being respected again, and got through all the fog and clearing. You're a big part of that, and as is our next guest, Zach Matthews, who does a phenomenal job as well. So always fun. Thank you for coming on. Right. We enjoy having you.
Thank you.
Best of luck,
Coach.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. That again, Coach Brian O'Reilly, 45 years as the head coach at Pinkerton. He is also the Academy's athletic director, giving us some words of wisdom there here on FNL Gridiron. All right, final guest on the other side, Bedford, undefeated, looking for their third championship in the last 4 years. How did they get there? We ask head coach Zach Matthews next. You are watching FNL Gridiron. It's presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Maybe it's leaning too close to your home. Maybe it's not healthy. Or maybe you just don't like it there. No matter what the reason is, if you need tree work or pruning, call Accurate Tree Service. They have the right equipment and expertise to properly diagnose, treat, or remove trees, no matter how difficult the terrain. Perhaps simple, careful pruning by our certified arborist is all you need to manage your trees and shrubs. When it comes to your tree care, contact the full-service tree care experts today, Accurate Tree Service, because you only get one chance to take a tree down right.
Are you a quarterback who is ready to take your game to the next level? Well, then it's time to join TKQB Academy. Founded by former UNH standout Trevor Knight, TKQB Academy has worked with student athletes from around New England, helping young quarterbacks to reach their full potential. TKQB Academy offers one-on-one and group sessions that will help you instantly improve your accuracy, timing, mechanics, and footwork. So be the best QB you can be at TKQB Academy. Call 603-732-7194 or reach out on Instagram at TKQBA. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include discount tickets, cards, and calendar raffles to hundreds of local merchants throughout the New England area. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Back here on FNL Gridiron, final segment, final show of the season. Nick and Astis, Steve Beals with you. We are presented by Beals Insurance. We thank Roger Brown, the founder of the New Hampshire Football Report, for joining us earlier. And we also appreciate Coach Brian O'Reilly for jumping on. He gave us Pinkerton's half of the story. Now we get Bedford's, as the Bulldogs and Astros set to collide for all the marbles in the Division I state championship coming up on Saturday. Coach Matthews, welcome back. We appreciate you making time with us, or for us, for a second straight week. How are you?
I'm doing well. I didn't realize we were taking the show on the road, Steve. Road show?
Yeah, down visiting my my mom, and just coming back from Massachusetts here, and came up on 495, and it was going to take what I thought was an hour and 40 minutes. So I was telling Nick I stopped at McDonald's, and I don't know how to order online, so I'm going hungry.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Coach, where are you
doing? How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm doing well.
And Coach, where are you tonight? I think that's a different backdrop than we've seen.
I'm actually at home tonight. I actually made it home. I rarely talk to you guys from home, but yeah, it is Monday and managed to get home before I spoke to you guys. So yeah, we'll appreciate it.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Perfect. We won't keep you long, Coach. Give us the
He doesn't
logistics. Coach, give us the logistics in terms of this week. You've got the holiday on Thursday, so a short week of school, and then you've got the biggest game of the season and potentially the biggest game of some of these players' lives coming up on Saturday. Take us through today all the way up to Saturday. What goes into preparation in terms of logistics for a championship week?
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough to do this a couple times here. So, we've kind of ironed out some of the kinks, I think, a little bit. But it is a challenging week, like I always say to our families. And you're balancing school, you're balancing family plans, you're balancing football. And so you're trying to make sure that you're allotting enough time for each of those pieces, right? So today was a big film day, a weight room day. And then we get out there on the field and do some conditioning. Tomorrow we're back out on the field, and Wednesday with really aggressive days on the field. We'll go Thursday morning before everybody goes and fills up on Thanksgiving food. So we'll go Thursday morning, and then we'll go probably Friday evening and try to give families as much time as possible. I know some of our families are not staying in town and are traveling other parts of New England. So we still got to get the work in, right? Because we want the kids to be prepared for the game, but obviously, we want to make sure that families can get together still, because I know that's something that's really important for all of us this time of year. So,
yeah. Coach, you've got a veteran squad. Obviously, the two that get the most attention, are Helton and your son, Bennett. But obviously, that senior class has been through the fire at this point. A lot of veterans with a lot of winning football under their belts. You have coached now 2 championship teams in 22 and 23. And now you've got potentially on the verge, a third one. What's different about this team in 2025 when you compare them heads up against some of those other great teams that you've coached in the past? What stands out?
Yeah, I think this group, although obviously we play really intensely on the field, I feel like these guys have enjoyed the process a little bit more than some of our other teams, and I think that that's an important part of it with teenage kids is I think they're enjoying each other's company. I think they're really, football season for all of us, and I'm sure you guys are included in that, it's a long season. And if you're not stopping and enjoying some of the little moments, I think it can feel like a lot for these kids. And so I think that this group has really embraced kind of enjoying some of those small things and celebrating each other and the time that they have together. And that's really one of the things that we've been talking about this year is, the wins and losses kind of take care of themselves if we go about the process the right way and we enjoy, the little pieces and the details. The end result's going to take care of itself.
Well said. What was the biggest takeaway in your mind from the battle we just saw in the semifinals, your 35-21 win over Nashua South? Obviously, there were some highlights that you can build on, that you would like to build on going into Saturday, and then some things that you would like to address. What are some of those short list things, both the pros and the cons, from that win over Nashua South?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we played three quarters of really good football. And third quarter was not my favorite, but loved the first half, loved the way we finished. Third quarter, I thought we were a little bit immature, and that's part of coaching teenage kids, right? And so we came out how we wanted to, and I think at halftime we were pretty satisfied with ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I mean the team mindset. I think we came out in the third quarter, and credit to a great Nashua South team and their leadership, right? Those kids have been a second half team really all year long and giving people problems in the second half. And although we kind of talked about South coming out, like gangbusters in the third quarter, I think they stole the momentum from us a little bit, and we had to take it back. And so with the start of the fourth quarter, that drive there, I really challenged the kids, and I think that they passed that test. I don't want to say that you ever won a game to get close, because you don't, but I think that's also an important part of the process. That's part of the learning experience, right? That's part of sitting there and saying, okay, we came out the way we wanted to come out, but we certainly didn't come out at halftime the way we want. And if you do that against a team like Pinkerton, you're going to find yourself in a very bad situation. So our focus is trying to move forward and play 4 quarters of really good football. And obviously, every single week as high school football coaches, we'll look at the good things, and then we try to, attack some of the issues, attack some of the mistakes, and clean those things up moving forward.
Yeah. Steve?
Coach, great to have you on again. You're probably sick of us, but we are not sick of you. I'll tell you that. Watching you run down the sidelines in the first quarter there, by the end of the first quarter, you were very animated on the field. I mean that in a 100% positive way. And it looked to me like you said, this is the engine that I was trying to tune up this week. And that's what it felt when you went up the first 14 points, and I saw the expressions on your face, the passion, the motivation. Take us there at the end of the first half there, with the team you just see the height of the heights of what this team can go. What were your feelings there? Because it just looked like you were a very satisfied man at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we always say to the kids, right, the practice week is ours as coaches, meaning like we're going to plan it and we're going to structure it, and Friday nights are theirs. And so, when it comes down to it, I want to see our kids out there, living their dreams and having fun doing what they do in front of their community members and in front of our school community. And it's just, to be honest, they're a lot of fun to watch, and I'm lucky to coach this group of kids, and it's a lot of fun to watch them when they're doing things the way that they were doing it on Friday night in that first half. And so that was really just fun to be a part of that process and to watch the things that you work on throughout the week that, you hope are going to work out that way on Friday night. And all of a sudden, when that work comes together and you see kids executing at a high level, I think that's that's enjoyment. This is my hobby. Like a lot of us who coach football, it's somewhat of an addiction. I don't have snowmobiles. I'm not boating. I'm not going out other places. Football is something that I truly enjoy. And when I was a teenager myself, obviously I loved it, and I still love being a part of it with these kids. And certainly it's been a special experience with this group, watching them, chase their dreams.
We had a situation where we had Matt, my son, on the camera down on the left side of the field, and Brody Helton just comes down, jumps over a guy, hits side to side, bulls his way in the end zone and scores. I think it was either the second or the third touchdown. And he comes over to the camera with a joyful grin on his face and just celebrating, putting like it going. And they called a flag on it, and I understand our officials are a fabulous group in the state. We're very, very lucky to have all of them, and they have to manage the game. But on the other side of that coin, there were some kids that just were so elated they couldn't even contain themselves. And both of those are beautiful things, balancing discipline with a sense of elation. I mean, and managing that. And he and Bennett ran off the field just over to the crowd, and as they were going over the crowd, you could just tell. It's the lightest guys, and the whole crew was following after him.
I do have a bone to pick with you, though, Steve. I got a bone with those cameras in the end zone. Have gotten us in trouble multiple times now with my teenagers. They love the thing. I literally talked about it in film today. I'm like, Brody, if you go over and put your face in the camera one more time and get a 50-yard penalty, I'm going to lose it. Like, seriously, I love all the angles you guys are giving us, but you got to get that thing out of there because it's getting us in trouble.
All right. Well, that'll be under advisement over the next 9 months. Let's say it that way.
Yeah.
But they'll be there Saturday, Coach. Right? Just one more game. They'll be there Saturday. But we'll try to behave. We're not egging anybody on. Those kids are just feeling it. Let's talk about your defense. I promise you, we'll look into it. Can't guarantee anything because, Matt's like 260 and I can't move him. So I just can't do it. So, but anyway, let's talk about this defense. The keys that I had in the game were an ultimate quarterback matchup between two of probably the top 5 quarterbacks in the whole state. Arguably, they could be easily called 1 and 2. And one of those keys was which team was going to be able to get the quarterback uncomfortable in the pocket. And then the other thing is how well the defensive backfield would be able to handle the quick releases and velocity of the passes that both of these young men throw. And it seemed to me, Coach Donahue practically broke my back hugging me at the end of the game while I'm in the middle of broadcasting the game. Talk about vivacious and exciting. What a guy. What a job he does for you. But those defensive backs were absolutely stellar in that game. Their ability to take on very, very high quality receivers. So it's just kind of like check the box 1, check the key 2. What are your thoughts on that defense as you look out there? Obviously, offense spoke for itself. Sure, it scored 28 points against a phenomenal football team. Actually, more than that, 30. What was the final score, Nick? 30. What was it, Zach? What was the final score?
6. To your point about the
defense.
defense.
No, you were right. You were right because we scored 4 and the defense scored 1. So you were on it.
Right.
No, but I think that when you look at a game like that,
defensive backfield.
When you look at an athlete like Cody back there as a quarterback, and you look at the number of attempts that he's had this year, he's a great player, and they put a ton of responsibility on his plate to get them in good situations and to move the ball down the field. And we knew that we had to make him uncomfortable. I think that our defensive backs did a really good job. Our focus was trying to keep things in front of us, and I think we did a really good job of that. And trying to make Cody be patient, actually, not give him those big chunk plays. So many films that I watched this year of South was just big play after big play, 60 yards, 70 yards, and I just wanted to make them work a little bit, meaning, make them, the old school statement, matriculate the ball down the field and don't give them 50, 60 yards in a chunk. And I think for the most part, other than, there was a big pass play in the first half, and I think he hurt us definitely a lot scrambling. That was the frustrating part for me that I think that we needed to do a better job of in the third quarter. But your point about the defensive back play, we covered the way I wanted us to. The hard part was when we covered everybody, then he was tucking it and taking off, and so that created some other issues for us. But as far as the defensive backs are concerned, I mean, when you can play a quarterback of that level, those receivers that are exceptional athletes, and come away with 3 interceptions, I think absolutely that's a testament to those guys in the back end.
As you look at last question, if you look at Pinkerton, Coach, they have their own dynamic duo of Mishu and Spellman, and then throwing Osanya in there when it comes time for bull yards, who's just as good at his craft. How do you stop these guys? Do you see a similar kind of philosophy as you had with South, or are there elements of this team that you can tell us about that you feel are different, that you have to elevate the game to meet that objective?
Well, I mean, I think when you look at it, and this is the unique thing about coaching high school football versus college football, college football, you see a lot of similar concepts. Pretty much everybody's running a spread offense, and you're seeing a lot of similar things, right? For our kids, the challenge is you got to flip the switch really quickly. To last week, it was very pass heavy, pass focused. And I don't want to say we didn't have to prepare for the South running game, but they throw the ball a lot. In the pass game was obviously a major focus for us in the South game. And now you flip the script, and the focus this week really needs to be on the run game. And that doesn't mean we're not respecting the ability of Pinkerton to make plays in the pass game, because I think you'd notice a lot of their games, if you put too much at the line of scrimmage trying to stop the run, they roast you in the back end as well. And so it's finding that balance between the two things of, we got to get enough bodies, ready to fit those runs, because the running backs are special athletes, absolutely. And then you also don't want to, leave yourself naked on the back end to where, they're getting one-on-one situations where their quarterback can loft the ball up and those athletes are able to run under it. So, I think that's the challenge for us going week to week, is those are two very opposite football teams. South, I think, again, not to take anything away from the running game, but that was a passing team, right, in my opinion. That was their strength. Now we're going into a team
Cody was really the only running game. Cody was the guy you had to stop on the running game, in the pocket.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And now we've got multiple backs that are going to hit you from multiple angles, jet sweeps, toss sweeps, belly, trap, buck sweep, crisscross counters, a lot of different things that you got to keep in mind. And so really it's the ability of our kids to flip that mindset and flip the switch and say, okay, next challenge up, we've got to, not that we forget what we did last week, but to be honest, there's not a whole lot that applies week to week comparing these two teams. Facing a spread offense and facing a wing T are opposite ends of the spectrum. And so that's the challenge for us this week defensively, is I really like our personnel. I think our kids have done a really good job. We've improved a ton defensively throughout the course of the year. And that's helped us get to where we're at. But we've got to continue to grow and develop throughout the week this week so that we're ready to slow down that Pinkerton rushing attack. Because, to your point, I don't think you don't go into a game like this saying, oh, we're going to absolutely shut this down or shut that down. You got to go in saying, we're going to try to limit some of these big runs and again, try to put them in a difficult situation where, they've got to do some things that they don't really have to do against other people. And so that's the challenge.
Well, lastly, the Bedford community, the Bedford fans, the student section, the administration under Parker, right on down to the coaches, right on down to the guys who are doing it on the field, the players. It was a tremendous event, and I want to tell you that Bedford band, Nick and I were commenting it to each other off air and on, was absolutely fantastic the other night. Not just the anthem, but I'm talking about the pump-up stuff during the games and stuff like that. They were on cue the other night. You could just feel it though. So it's a total community thing. I say the same about Pinkerton. Boy, we're going to have a great Saturday coming in, and this is just so good for New Hampshire. Zach, you say it's your hobby. Thank goodness it is your hobby, because it's the quality of play that we're getting from you and your cohorts, coaches. The whole team of coaches and the whole product in New Hampshire is at a very, very good level. We started out with some Nesson stuff that we did for Nesson in the beginning. Nick was able to talk to some people there. They said, hey, we'll take a look. They were talking about what, Nick, 1 or 2 games. They ended up doing games every single weekend, and we're asking for the playoffs, but we can't, obviously. But they were asking for that too. And I really think that speaks volumes of the quality of play that they saw in the field. And I hope this translates into scholarships and more kids have an opportunity to play all different divisions of 1, 2, and 3 in high school. But thank you for what you do, the time you take away from the family and everything. And because it's just, but this, Nick and I have said 100 times, Ben's talking about it with us. This has been an incredible football year. I don't know where it goes from here, to be honest with you. The parity, the excitement, game week in, game out, and as to what you people do. You guys are fine men. You ought to create a guild in this state, because I just think the coaches that we have in the state are unbelievable. Zach, I'm not filling you. I'm telling you the truth. There's a great group of guys that coach our kids. And
Steve, I appreciate it. Really appreciate it. I think that when this matchup we've got this week is 2 really, really good programs, and
it is
really great athletes on the field. Community support for both programs obviously is through the roof. And so you mentioned some of the little things, the band, and we're lucky in both institutions, and I'm sure Brian would say the same, but I'm lucky the fact that we have so many people who care about Bedford football and care about what our kids do. And so couldn't be more excited, obviously, going into Saturday. And the great thing about having this game after Thanksgiving is that, you have ex-players and kids who are at college, or people are coming back home to, and they're able to check in, and we get to see people that we haven't seen in years, that we coached years ago. And that's what makes this opportunity special. And I hope that both these teams put on a good show on Saturday, and we can go out there and enjoy the process, because I certainly have had fun coaching this year, and I'm glad to hear that you guys are enjoying watching our team, and hopefully that continues in the future.
Blast. And we're going to move those cameras back 6 inches for you, Zach, on Championship Sunday, because we got a little bit of focus. We can get a little closer. So that's a good start anyway.
I won't hold my breath.
Love you, man. Talk to you soon.
Coach, thank you.
Go ahead, Nick.
Thank you, Coach. Best of luck as well. Thank you. Best of luck.
Thanks again.
That's Coach Zach Matthews, head coach for the Bedford Bulldogs, the only undefeated team in the tournament, looking for their 3rd championship in the last 4 seasons, and also their 5th championship in the last decade as a school. So standing on the other side of that, Coach O'Reilly, he's got 12 rings himself, looking for number 13. So it all boils down to Saturday at 1 o'clock, and we will be there live on behalf of the NFHS Network, working in conjunction with the NFHS Network. NFHSnetwork.com is the only place to watch it live. Of course, we will release our free version on our YouTube channel 48 hours later. Want to thank the sponsors for holding it down all season long here on FNL Gridiron. Of course, Beals Insurance, MG Sports Fundraising, TKQB Academy, Accurate Tree Service, and Jewett Construction. We thank Craig, Sarah, and the rest of those folks over there at Jewett Construction. Learn more about that scholarship, that trades scholarship for high school students at JewettConstruction.com. Want to thank our guest tonight as well, Roger Brown, the founder of the New Hampshire Football Report, carving out some time, not just tonight, but all season long. Great job again by Roger. And, of course, Coach O'Reilly and Coach Matthews, both friends of the show at this point. We wish both those teams good luck this coming weekend. For our director,
Nick.
Thank you as well, Steve. It's been a pleasure. I was about to
Nick,
thank Ben
been
first.
a wonderful, tremendous year.
And, of course, Ben working hard behind the scenes, doesn't get nearly the credit he deserves.
Awesome.
He is our wizard of replay, the man behind the curtain. And, of course, none of it happens at all, period, without that man, Steve Beals, the big man in the big chair, the unseen hand, the executive producer, and my partner during football season. Steve, great job.
I'll agree with you there.
As usual.
All right.
All right. I'm Nick Anastas saying so long. This has been FNL Gridiron, presented by Beals Insurance.